This is Arts Weekly. Arts Weekly is produced in cooperation with the College of Visual and Performing Arts at IPFW, offering degrees in fine arts, music, theater, and visual communication and design.
Welcome to Arts Weekly. I'm John O'Connell, Dean of the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. Local art and theater are on the docket today. In the second half of the show, we'll meet Sue Davis from the Orchard Gallery to hear all about their current and future exhibits. But first, my dear friend, director Craig Humphrey and actress Renee Gonzales are here to talk about the upcoming production Dirty Rotten Scoundrels at the Fort Wayne Civic Theater opening July 26th. Welcome. I'm so excited you're both here to talk about a great show.
Thanks for having us.
It's a show I'm so excited came. It's the first time it's been in Fort Wayne, isn't it?
It actually played the Embassy. The touring production played the Embassy a little while back, and Arena did it a few years ago.
Oh,
also.
they did?
They
okay.
did, yes.
I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And it's your first time directing it.
It is. It is. And it's been a great time.
Yeah.
Really fun piece.
Well, Craig, of course, I know your background, but many of our viewers don't. So tell us a little bit about your varied theater background.
Well, currently I am the interim chair of the Department of Theater at IPFW, where I teach.
That's not my fault, Renee, if you're wondering.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No. I teach in the areas of costume design and musical theater predominantly. I've been at IPFW since fall of '91, and started out, as many of us do, as I know you did, as an actor, and made the shift then into costume design, and then last probably 15 years I've been really focusing on directing as much as I can.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Which makes you a great director. You know I'm a great fan of your directing.
Yes,
you do great work, but I think that varied background makes you a stronger director, as I think it did me as an actor. Renee,
Right.
you're an actress.
Yes.
And I would imagine you can tell the difference between a director who has some sort of acting background than those who don't.
Oh, yes. I've been very fortunate with Craig. I mean, he really does a great job. And I think, having the acting background, he really allows his actors to explore and be creative and play. Sometimes he'll go, I get the feeling you want to move there. You can move. It's okay. It's okay to move, which is wonderful. You have permission. Yes. You don't have to you don't have to be married to the blocking as much. He doesn't really care about that. He cares more about connection, scene work, really building the energy of the musical. So, yeah.
Well, Renee, you are a Fort Wayne native, which I didn't know until I sort of did some research. Tell us a little bit about your background in the theater.
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in Fort Wayne, went to Bishop Luers High School, kind of got the little theater bug in high school.
Was that with Carlene Krauss?
That was with Carlene Krauss.
I'm a big fan of Mrs. Krauss.
Oh, yes, love her. And then I really started getting into theater from Fort Wayne Civic Theater, actually. I did My Fair Lady with Harvey Cox when I was 16, and I just fell in love. Right. And I'm very fortunate, actually, to be working with a lot of the people that I did My Fair Lady with all those years ago. Leslie Beauchamp, Gary Lanier, Eunice Wadowitz, they're all great people to work with. But then I have a bachelor's degree in musical theater from Ball State University, and then for the last 8 years I've been living in New York City. I did a national tour, children's tour, went all over the country. I've done cabarets and sung at jazz clubs.
Pursuing the dream.
Living the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. I lived there for 12, 13 years, and I know what it can be like, and that's terrific. Great.
Yeah.
And what brought you back to Fort Wayne?
Well, it was just the right time. I had an open opportunity to come back, and I really missed family, so I wanted to come home and just kind of take things easy for a while and recoup and clear my head.
Yeah, it's hectic.
Yeah, it is.
Full-time job, pursuing, and being on tour.
Yeah.
That is really tiring. People don't understand how tiring that can be.
Yeah, and we were doing 2 shows a day, driving in the interim. I was, you know, you're putting sets up, and we were doing early morning shows too. We were starting at 9 a.m. We'd have 2 shows, and then we'd drive to the next location.
Sure.
So, but the best way to see the country.
Absolutely.
I mean, we went everywhere, and it was a
And it's a great way to get some discipline in your craft.
Absolutely.
You've got to take care of yourself when you're on tour. You've got 2 shows to do a day. Absolutely.
You have to.
Yeah. So Craig, lucky you.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
get this, experienced actress coming into auditions.
I had seen Renee in several shows
Yeah.
before she left for New York, and when she walked into auditions, I was like, "That's Renee Gonzales."
How lucky am I?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just
exactly.
the part for you.
Yeah, because I always wanted to work with Renee and didn't have the opportunity, and now I do, which is terrific.
It really was the perfect timing. I mean, I had just decided the month previous to come home, and then I saw they were doing Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which I saw on Broadway about 9 years ago, not knowing a lot about it, and I've always loved this musical. Ever since I saw it, it's a part I've always wanted to play, so I'm really lucky.
Now, it's based on a movie.
The 1988 film with Michael Caine and Steve Martin.
Okay.
It's pretty close to the film. There are some differences, but like the film, it's just really all about being silly and having fun.
Right. Right. It takes the silly side of the film.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's tell our viewers a little bit about the plot, because while it's been around a little while, it's not an old favorite, so people might need.
Right. This action centers on two con men in the small French Riviera resort town of Beaumont-sur-Mer, and the one who was played by Michael Caine in the film version, very suave, sophisticated, experienced. And the other one, played by Steve Martin in the film, Freddie, is young and bumbling and kind of crude and not always the sharpest pencil in the box.
Less sophisticated,
Yes,
we'll say. Yes.
yes, absolutely. And they enter into a competition, a bet, to see who can con $50,000 out of Christine. Renee's character, sorry.
Glenn Headley's
Glenn
part.
Headley's
Yes.
part.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
right,
you.
right,
Fabulous.
right.
I love her.
Yes.
Miss Moneybanks, apparently, if she's going to have $50,000 to get conned out.
Right. And so the plot follows them trying to outdo each other, and in more and more underhanded ways, and lots of twists, and ultimately. Big twist at the end that I, of course, won't give away. But
All right, don't give it away. But most of these silly musicals are boy gets girl, loses girl, gets girl back again. Is there any of that in it?
There's
There's
a lot of
multiple.
that. There's multiple versions.
There's multiple
of that.
versions
Yes,
of that. So
because-
this is not PG.
PG-13.
PG-13.
I would
All
say
right.
it's good for 12 and up, really. It's
Okay.
a little more mature.
There's not a family.
There's some,
but it's still,
there's some
okay.
language. There's some more mature themes, but it's not.
It's pretty, I mean, we've kept it pretty clean,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. It's great fun. It's got
It's
great
a
music.
lot of
and-
fun.
Um,
The plot's a little complicated for little kids to
Sure,
see, but
yeah.
besides that, it's such a fun musical.
So what are the challenges for both of you? Renee, what's the biggest challenge for you in this?
I think Christine's a very naive, innocent kind of character, and the only way for her to be fully believable is to be genuine and sincere and listen to the other actors on stage. And she's very dependent on Lawrence and Freddie. As far her character, what I'm doing with the character has to follow what Lawrence or Freddie give me as part of their cons. So I would say that's the most challenging part, and really
Believing that
Believing-
Renee buys into the cons. That's a challenge, I would imagine, for the audience, for you to communicate to the audience that you're buying into some of this. Right, right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
she has to be so sincere. There's no room for insincerity
No,
with her
right.
character.
Challenges for you? Is there a lot of dancing? Is there a lot of, I mean,
There's a fair amount of dance, but I was very gifted to have two terrific choreographers
Two?
on this show. Leslie Beauchamp and Gary Lanier, so
okay.
who could ask for anything
Two
more?
best in the city,
Right,
so
yes.
that's fantastic.
So that's made my job infinitely more easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's really been a challenge for me on this show was trying to work out. The show calls for numerous locations. And working with the civic scenic designer, Robert Shoquist, has been a terrific experience because we're trying to find ways to make all of the transitions as seamless as possible. And made some adjustments, changed some locations, doubling some things up. So keeping the continuity and without all of those
Right.
breaks, that's something of a challenge.
Yeah,
But I
it's-
think that we found a really manageable way of doing that.
Yeah, it's always a challenge for a director when we get these scripts that come from film. they're not necessarily that conscious of the fact that we've got a proscenium stage to put this up
Right,
on.
right.
So don't give us these 14 different locations, because we don't have $1 million. So Robert's very good at that.
Yes.
He's very good at wagons, rolling in and out, spinning them around, getting them done. So I imagine a lot of that's going on.
We're doing a lot of, I call them component pieces, that
Okay.
we're using a lot of almost building block-like pieces that can be reconfigured to create the various locations that we have.
So what is the important information? What are the dates of this great show?
We open we open July 26th and play through August 10th.
Ticket information,
is at
260-422-4226,
yes,
which is
Arttix.
Arttix.
Yes,
right.
the Arts United box office.
Right. Or they can get other information at fwcivic.org for Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Well, I can't wait to see it. He happens to be one of my favorite directors, so I'll be there. Even though it's summertime, I'll leave the lake to come see Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
You better.
I will,
Yes.
and you've got a strong and a great cast.
I do,
So
I
I
do.
really look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you both for joining me on Arts Weekly. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
I'm John O'Connell, Dean of the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. Please join me next time on Arts Weekly. We'll be right back with Sue Davis from Orchard Gallery.